Have you ever come across something, a piece of high-performance gear that suddenly throws you a curveball with a hidden feature? Something almost whimsical. Well, today we're diving deep into exactly that kind of thing with the Traser P99 Iris limited edition watch. This is more than just a watch. It's a really fascinating example of how a brand can evolve while still, sticking to its roots. Our mission here is to pull out the key insights from the material a bit. We've got basically a detailed review and some article excerpts on this pretty unique watch. We want to unpack how Traser, a brand known for, let's be honest, military-grade stuff.
Absolutely. Very functional.
Right. How they're now reaching out to collectors with features that are definitely innovative, but maybe seem a bit contradictory. Look at the tech, the design thinking, and who exactly this watch is aimed at.
It's a great example, really. Traser's history is built on these super utilitarian timepieces. Think military contracts, demanding environments, robust, straightforward, gets the job done.
And that's what makes this P99 Iris so interesting, that shift. Like a lot of brands that started out very focused on function, Traser is now juggling that heritage with, well, appealing to enthusiasts and collectors. They haven't abandoned their core.
Not at all. They still make those tough models.
But they're also exploring things like this, creations that appeal on a different level.
And the P99 Iris is right in that sweet spot. It's clearly aimed at enthusiasts, but it still feels like a Traser. And being a limited edition, just 300 pieces, definitely adds to that collector appeal.
It really says something about how brands adapt, doesn't it? That need to innovate beyond pure function, even if it means doing something, well, surprising.
Definitely. Keeps things interesting.
Okay, so let's get into the main event here. The P99 Iris has two new bits of tech, but the one everyone notices first is this patented iris diaphragm.
Yes, the visual hook. Imagine like the aperture in a camera lens, but built into your watch. It lets you physically cover the dial in hands.
How does it actually work? You twist something.
You rotate the bezel, just a quarter turn, and these 16 little blades slide out from under the edge of the crystal, closing over the dial. Turn it back. They retract.
16 blades, wow. And the engineering for that sounds tricky.
It's quite clever. Normally, the crystal sits on the main case. Here, the sapphire crystal is fitted inside the bezel's rim.
Ah, okay.
So the whole iris mechanism fits neatly inside the case beneath that bezel crystal assembly. The source notes it needs no maintenance or lubrication. It's self-contained.
Which makes sense for a brand like Traser, but why? Why put a closing aperture on a watch dial?
Well, it circles back to Traser's core tech.
Yeah.
Their Trigalight Tritium tubes. These things glow constantly, right, for decades.
Up to 25 years, yeah. No charging needed.
Exactly. So the thinking is this iris lets you effectively turn off that constant lume, go completely dark if you need to.
Right, but the huge elephant in the room is that when it's closed, you can't tell the time at all.
Precisely. It's a total blackout for the dial. Now, the source does mention potential practical uses, people working with light-sensitive gear maybe, or the more theatrical ninjas and special ops scenarios.
Right, total light discipline.
But the reviewers seem to lean more towards it being a horological novelty. Something cool and unique that, strangely, still feels true to Traser's tactical vibe.
I like that comparison in the source material, calling it the tactical equivalent of a Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso or a Cartier Basculante.
Yeah, that's a neat way to put it. Those watches physically flip or shield the dial. This does it internally with the iris.
A very Traser way of achieving a similar result, maybe, and operating it. Does the bezel feel solid?
Apparently, yes. The review mentions a smooth, precise action. Importantly, it has enough resistance so you won't accidentally open and close it. It stays put.
Good. Okay, so beyond the iris, what's a second piece of new tech? Something about the tritium itself.
Correct. Super Powered Trigalight tubes. And you have to remember, Traser is basically the watch brand of MB-Microtec.
The company that makes almost all the tritium tubes for watches.
Exactly. So when they introduce something new in tritium, it's kind of a big deal for the industry. These new tubes supposedly have a different internal phosphor coating.
Aimed at making them glow brighter.
That's the claim, yes.
Yeah.
Brighter than the standard Trigalight tubes. However, and this is important, the actual watch reviewed was a prototype. And it had the regular tritium tubes fitted, not the new super-powered ones.
Ah, so the reviewer couldn't actually confirm if they are brighter in practice.
Right. We have to take Traser's word on that for the final production models.
Okay, fair enough. But let's just recap why tritium is so central here and why you'd want that iris control.
It's all about that 247 glow. Unlike, say, superluminova, which needs charging, or electronic backlights, which you have to activate and drain the battery
These just glow for years.
continuously, which is fantastic 99% of the time. But that constant light source is why the iris mechanism makes sense in their world. It gives you the option to switch it off.
And how is the lume laid out on this specific model?
It's thoughtfully done. Orange tubes for the seconds hand and the main 12 o'clock marker, probably for quick orientation. The rest are green.
Standard tactical colors.
Yeah. And kind of a neat detail, there are even tiny tubes embedded within the Traser logo on the dial.
Subtle. And what about lume on the outside, like the bezel?
Interestingly, no. Unlike some other P99 models, the P99 Iris has 0 luminous elements on its exterior. So when you close that iris...
It is completely, totally dark, no light signature at all.
Exactly. Full blackout capability.
Okay, innovations covered. Let's talk about the watch itself. The physical package, how big is this thing?
It's definitely not small. Stainless steel case, matte black PVD coating. We're looking at 46 millimeters across.
46, that's substantial.
And 16.5 millimeters thick, counting the little raised tabs on the bezel. The lug width is 22 millimeters, and it's 54 millimeter lug to lug. So, yeah, it makes a statement.
Any idea on the weight? Does it feel heavy?
The source puts the watch head around 112 grams without a strap. So, yes, it'll have some heft.
And how does it wear according to the review? Because 46 millimeter can be tricky.
This was interesting. The reviewer noted that despite the diameter, it strangely wears slightly smaller, maybe because of the height distribution.
Okay.
But make no mistake, it's still called an objectively large timepiece. It definitely has more wrist presence than, say, their titanium P99T tactical model.
Makes sense. And water resistance, given its tactical route.
It's rated to 100 meters, which is solid, good for swimming and surface activities.
It's less than some other P99s.
Yeah, the source points out it's half the depth rating of some other models in the P99 line. Still has a screw-down crown and a solid screw-down case back, though, so it's built tough.
Okay. And visually, that deep-set dial, because of the iris mechanism, how does that look?
The dial itself is matte black, pretty standard tactical fare, with the day and date at 3 o'clock. But yes, because the iris sits under the bezel, the dial is way down inside the case. The review described it as having a disproportional appearance.
Like looking down a tunnel almost.
Kinda, yeah. Definitely unique.
And the engine driving it. Traser just says Swiss-made quartz. Any more detail?
The source suggests it's almost certainly the Ronda caliber 517, which is what they use in their other quartz date P99s.
Okay. Is there a technical reason for using that specific movement?
Yes, and it relates back to the tritium again. Those glass tubes add noticeable weight to the hands compared to standard painted hands.
Ah, right. More mass to move.
Exactly. The Ronda 517 has a high torque or high-powered stepping motor designed to handle heavier hands reliably. Performance-wise, you're looking at typical quartz accuracy, maybe N to 10 to plus 20 seconds a month, and a battery life around 45 months.
3 to 4 years. Pretty standard. And straps, what are the choices?
3 were mentioned: a black rubber strap, a black nylon NATO, or a black and gray urban camo NATO.
How's the rubber?
Tapers from 22 millimeters down to 20 millimeter with a nice thick tang buckle. The NATOs have black hardware, but apparently less substantial buckles.
And did the reviewer have a preference for comfort or wearability?
Yeah, they prefer the rubber strap. The reasoning was that the P99 Iris is already quite thick.
Right, that's 16.5 millimeter.
And NATO straps, because they loop underneath the watch, add even more height. So the rubber strap kept the profile a bit lower on the wrist.
Makes sense. So bringing it all together, who is this watch actually for? What's the real appeal here?
Well, look, if you need to tell the time all the time, closing the iris is obviously a non-starter for practicality.
Kind of a deal breaker for a primary watch, maybe?
For some, absolutely. But the source emphasizes the novelty. It's just fun. It's described as tangibly different from almost anything else out there.
And Traser makes plenty of other more conventional tool watches if that's what you need.
Exactly. If you don't specifically need or want that iris feature, another P99 would be more practical. This one seems aimed squarely at the enthusiast who appreciates the unique mechanism itself.
It definitely stands out. Most collectors have divers with rotating bezels, chronographs, but an iris diaphragm watch.
Pretty rare. It's a conversation starter for sure.
And the price reflects that position, maybe? Where does it sit?
It was listed at $990 USD on the NATO and $1,060 with the rubber strap. That puts it neatly between Traser's standard quartz P99 models and their automatic versions.
So fairly priced for the novelty and the limited nature.
Seems reasonable. The takeaway really is that collectors are likely buying this for the cool factor, the unique design and that interactive experience more than any pressing functional need.
So to wrap up, the Traser P99 Iris is this really intriguing mix, isn't it? Deeply rooted in tactical heritage, but then throwing in this bold, almost playful horological curveball.
Yeah, it dares to prioritize that unique user experience, that novelty, arguably even over pure, constant utility, which is a fascinating move for a brand like Tracer.
And this deep dive really highlights, I think, how brands can push boundaries and create these unexpected aha moments, even with something as familiar as a watch. It shows there's still room for surprise.
Definitely. It's about finding new ways to engage people, even if it means adding something delightfully impractical.
Which leads to a final thought for you listening. Thinking about the P99 Iris, what other things in our lives, things we usually think of as purely functional, could be made more engaging, more unique, maybe even a bit wonderfully impractical by adding some kind of hidden or controllable feature? What else could benefit from its own iris diaphragm?